Throw jams on.
Perfect.
Because we have the party going on, right?
Yes. All right. I think we are live on Facebook. Thank you, everyone, for coming today because this is going to be such an amazing interview with Cayla on Worthy Women Wednesday because she brings the energy, she brings the realness, the honesty, and that is what I love about you is how real you are. So thank you so much, Cayla, for being on here today.
Yes, and I have to say this because I love you with all my heart, and I have to correct you now, or else we're going to keep going down the path. But it's Cuyla.
I literally called you Cayla for literally a year. You do realize this, right? And you know what? I think you did this on purpose, like waiting for like when I'm actually doing this live in public to make sure that's right. Like I think I'll tell her right when she starts.
Exactly. So right when she like totally messes it up, I'm gonna get to call her out live. It's gonna be.
You're waiting for that moment. So was it as good as do that?
But see, I love you, so I'm not offended. It's fine. But I'm correcting.
Cuyla. Okay. Wow. It's nice to meet you. I guess I'm meeting Cuyla for the first time too, even though after a year, yeah, I thought it was Cayla. So thank you, Cuyla, for being on my interview today. And yeah, let's get started because I want to hear more about you and your story. So do you feel comfortable sharing your story with us?
Oh yeah, always. What do you want to know about my story?
Yeah. So really like I want you to start wherever you feel comfortable sharing with and just touch on the points that got you here, bring you here on this interview right now, sharing your story openly, what will support people and all that.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so if I'm going to tell my whole life story in 2 minutes, you ready?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to cook it into 2 minutes. So
perfect.
My story. I've grown up in California my whole life. And when I was in 3rd grade is when I started to realize that I was attracted to girls at school. And I was very confused about it. And I ended up hiding my sexuality for 14 years of my life. But my first realization was in 3rd grade. And I also had a realization recently. I feel like I blocked this memory, but in 3rd grade as well, my 3rd grade teacher sexually abused girls in the classroom. And I literally blocked that entire memory out like my whole life until recently. It was like a flash of like, oh yeah, like that happened. Yeah. And it's just interesting reflecting on like that was also the time when I was like confused about my sexuality at such a young age. And so yeah, I mean over the course of 14 years like hiding that, I ended up manifesting severe acne in high school. I still struggle with acne. I talk about it publicly. Like right now I'm not wearing any makeup. I'm going through my own stuff right now like but it's been 17 years on and off of like acne struggle. And then I ended up coming out with my sexuality when I was about 22 years old. And 2 years later was when I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and started having suicidal thoughts. And that's what set me on the path of trying to find an answer to the anxiety. And luckily I met my life coach, went through his coaching experience, changed my life, knew the moment when it happened, like I have to teach this for the rest of my life. So here we are right now.
Yes. Wow. I think that was even shorter than 2 minutes, but I love your story because yes, when you don't realize you've gone through something at such a young age, it manifests in your life, like you said. Like you said, your acne, it came out and it comes out in different ways. And so thank you for always being so open and real with what it looks like to heal from abuse, what it looks like to actually come out with your sexuality, all those things, because that's why I'm so like so many people are so attracted to you because we need realness and openness and honesty right now. So do you even notice how real and honest you are? Like how did you even get to that point where you're just like she's just like on her Instagram just like dancing and just rapping and doing her thing. And so like do you even realize how open and honest you are? Or is that something that you naturally?
You know, it's a good question. I I would say I wasn't always I wasn't always like this level of aliveness. I wasn't always like this,
Yeah.
but that's because I was hiding so much. And I think I'm so open now because I've realized that when we actually speak our truth, like that's when like so much freedom is like birthed out of us. And I'm just in a place in my life where I just feel free to be myself. And so what's cool is that I give less shits about what other people think. And so it's a lot less people pleasing and just a lot more of being Cuyla. And it feels really freeing. And so I thank you for that reflection. I would say like I went through this life cycle of coming out, coming home, and coming alive. And so ever since that coming home moment is where like I've started to like wake up and like step into the fullest version of myself. And like I've been on the coming alive journey for years now. And so you're seeing it, like you're seeing it live, like me being fully alive. And if I'm going to help people be fully alive, then like I also need to be that and step into that. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So what were the steps though? Because I know you said that like at 22 you came out, and then even 2 years later you went into anxiety and all those things. So what was it that really led you to get over that point?
well, it was a lot of trying to find the answer and investing in a lot of personal development, like over 100K. And whether it was cognitive behavioral therapy, reading books about anxiety, hiring coaches. And then just luckily, like I finally met a coach that resonated. And I remember when I met him, he actually called me a couple hours ago. Like when I met him, like all he had to say to me was, what I do is so simple. And like when he said it, it just like, I don't know, it landed for me. I canceled another course I was supposed to go to, went to his. And it was that weekend with him. We were just having a conversation. I was learning it, how the mind works on a deeper level. And I feel like the way I describe it is like, I feel like I went up in an elevator while also dropping into a jacuzzi.
That's awesome.
Like I
Yeah.
was up in an elevator, like, whoa, what's going on? And like also feeling this pure sense of like bliss and love in a jacuzzi.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you met obviously your coach. It was a 1 day event, or you're saying it was a weekend thing in
Yeah,
person?
it was a 3-day event.
Yeah, 3 day event. So, because I know that maybe some of our audience have like been thinking about just like diving in and getting a coach, getting support, but like was that really the thing? Like, do you think you could have done this on your own? Did you try it on your own, or really was a coach really the way to go?
It was a combination of things. I mean, it started with me saying yes to a work opportunity that got me into the greatness community, the greatness collective community. So it was number one, community. Like I wouldn't have met my coach if I didn't say yes to the community. And then two was that I actually asked someone a question. So it was my friend. Okay, actually at the time I didn't know him, but I was at a house build in Mexico on this greatness trip, right? And this one of the guys there openly says in front of like 50 people, like, I discovered that I am love, and like I found love like within myself. And it was so cute, right? But it was like something that he shared was like it like hit me. And after I'm like, Eric, like, where did you discover this love? Like, help me find that.
Right? You're like, I want that too.
Yeah, so he ended up mailing me a couple books, and then he's the one that introduced me to my coach. But like all of that wouldn't have happened if I didn't say yes to the opportunity and I wasn't in a community of like-minded people. So like first is community, and like second is actually speaking up and asking the question. Like I had the question, I could have chosen to not say anything, but I did, right? And then third was like showing up to the course. Like I could have enrolled in that and like, didn't show up. So that was kind of the process I went through.
Yeah, I love so much about what you just said, because it, like you said, like it gets to be simple. It's like what I've been talking about for years too. It's because we try to complicate things in our heads,
Yes.
and we try to do everything all at once,
Yes.
like perfectly. Like consistency is key, and you're like, okay, I'll do a million things today, and tomorrow I'll do the same, and I won't ever burn out. But right, it's like it gets to be simple, and
Yeah.
so really like so you finding the community was simple. Like
Yes.
we get to be in community. And so how did you find greatness? Oh, well, I mean, like you said, it was a job opportunity, but how would people find their community?
Well, I found Greatness Collective because I went to college with Mike Sherbakoff, the founder, and I just followed him on social media for the last 10 years. And
Yeah,
then like knew if something popped up, like I'm gonna I'm keeping that on my radar.
yeah,
But what I'm actually creating, which I'm launching now, is the Coming Alive community because I've realized that how profound like the impact was on my life being in a community. What I feel like I wanted was a community of people, of leaders that were purpose driven, that were aspiring to like fulfill out their wildest dreams and be in a space where it's safe to explore that, and like a space where we can talk about anything, like talk about sex, talk about sexuality, talk about abuse, talk about your gender, talk about like anything and everything, and like and unify humanity, not just like separate everybody, you know? So like that's what I'm doing now, is like actually putting that together, and I'm bringing coaches from all over the world and we're building it together, right? So there's like all the coaches are from different backgrounds and the clients that they serve are from different backgrounds, so that we're like this, we're bridging the gap, right? Like we're bringing everyone together. So if someone's listening to this and they're looking for community, you can go to comingalivecommunity.com, and that's our free Facebook group. It's basically an experience of coming alive and just like being fully expressed.
yeah. I'll make sure I comment that in the links below just so people can have that, because yes, you do get to find a community, and exactly like you said, like it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter where you've been, like we are all human beings and we get to draw together even more than ever and be leaders. But like, did you always feel like a leader though? Because I know that some people like listening on here were like, oh well, I'm not a leader, I can't join that community.
Yeah,
Or
well,
was it,
we don't. That's the thing. It's whoever wants to come alive. There's no, you don't even
yeah,
have to like say I'm a leader yet. It's like you are a leader. In my mind, everyone is a leader. Everyone is a leader. So it's just sometimes I think sometimes people just don't realize that. Like they don't realize that about themselves. You could be a leader with like you're a mentor to your brother or your sister, you know,
yeah.
or you're like a leader in the place that you work, or like in my mind everyone's a leader and everyone has a purpose, and that's what I love, is like when people realize their life purpose and then actually like step into it. And I've just noticed the key is like being in a community of people who are going to support you on that journey so you don't feel alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone is a leader. I believe that too. And so like if there's someone on here listening though, and they're just like, well, how do I take my leadership to the next level? Or how do I even do that? You know, because I think that sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we're doing. Like your leadership, you're a leader in your family. That's huge. But oftentimes we're like, oh, I'm a mom, and we like downplay it, whatever it is. But how do you actually come into that and realize like, hey, no, I get to stand up and use my voice and be a leader?
Yeah, well, that's like the fun process I take clients through. Like I said, like my process of like coming out, coming home, coming alive, because a lot of the time, like even what you're sharing, there's some shame around it. Like there's almost like shame around like owning, like I'm a leader, and it's just an identity. Like it's just an identity. It's just a label. It's just like a part of your identity. So like that's what I love, is actually helping my clients and helping people live out any identity they want to live. So like I could say like I'm a leader, I'm a basketball player, I'm a rollerblader, I'm a daughter, I'm a life coach. Like these are all just identities, and like I get to play, it's like I get to play any part that I want to play. And so I think like for people to see that like we're just having a human experience. Like this is just an experience, and like you can say you're a leader or not. Like that's also a choice, you know? But in my mind, like everyone is a leader.
Yeah. I'm so awesome. I'm so happy that we brought this up because we actually talked about this over coffee like not too long ago. And I was like, yes, like we get to choose our identity. But
Yes.
sometimes like coming from abuse, coming from, coming out, coming from all these things that are past traumas and painful,
Yep.
sometimes it feels like we're stuck in those identities. Like I
Yes.
remember being like, feeling like, okay, well, I don't want to be labeled as abused when I shared my story out loud. And so like I was like scared of the identity of being abused, and I felt stuck for a while, and it kept me stuck.
Yes.
Actually, until that moment you saw me at the campfire effect when I shared that out loud.
Yeah.
But how do you get unstuck in actually coming out with your truth and showing up for yourself?
Hmm. How do you get unstuck?
Yeah.
I think the first step is asking for help. Because like I feel like I try to do it on my own most of my life. So when I was hiding my sexuality, no one knew. 14 years, no one actually, like, my family and friends knew, like, in the fact that they knew, they had a sense intuitively that I was.
Yeah.
I never said anything. And I didn't ask for help. I didn't ask even all the people in my life that were out, I didn't even ask for help from them. I could have just asked them, how did you do it? What should I do? Like, I was scared to ask for help because I felt like I had to do it on my own. And that's like the biggest mistake we can make as human beings, to think that like we have to do this thing on our own. So like step one is like ask for help. And like, it's actually like, I think there's a stigma around asking for help, like it's weak. Like weak, you're going to be weak if you ask for help. But actually, if you ask for help and you actually hire a coach, you hire someone and have someone help you, what's going to happen is you're going to actually step into your power, get out of that behavior, right? Get out of that behavior, that self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs. Like, you're going to get out of it and actually like live your life full out. So like, it's a choice to actually, step out and like ask for help. But that would be my biggest piece of advice. If I were to give anybody anything, is like, just have the courage to ask for help. Ask somebody that's been through something similar.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We're not meant to do life on our own. You've heard me like say that a million times, because like Cayla, like even when you were coming out, didn't you have a family member that was already out and you still didn't want to share your truth, right?
Yeah. My uncle, and also my brother. My brother is 3 years younger than me. He came out in high school.
Yeah.
And I knew obviously then, but I held it in because he was getting verbally abused by kids at school. They would follow him home, and because I saw like what was happening, I was scared to share my truth. But there were other people in my life that I could have said something to, and I just kept stuffing it down.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's sometimes we feel like it's easier, right? Like it's easier just to act like we're okay, put a mask on, I'm fine, right? It's easier until the point where you're dying inside,
Yeah.
right? Like you said, like the anxiety came out, the acne came out, like all those things are things that like are like dying to come out, and they come out some way or another. They either come out from actually sharing your truth and having relief, or they come out in bodily, like actually pain, more pain. And
Yes.
so like to you and like encouraging others, like how do you tell people just like, yes, you get to say it out loud no matter what it is?
Yeah. Well, that's why I think community is so important. Like, when people are in a community where they feel like they can finally express that, it's the game changer in my mind. And while you were sharing that, I was thinking about like this coming alive community, right? And what I see is that people like myself, if I look back at my life, and I was at a point where I was scared to say something, right? So I was hiding it. Now, at that time, I probably wouldn't have joined a Facebook group that was labeled as LGBTQ. However, if I was in this like coming alive group, and it was a safe space where we're talking about that,
Yeah.
then I would be like more open, like, wait a minute. And so what's happening is like, I have friends, I'm not dropping names. I have many friends, and also just people that are coming up to me like out of the blue, and they're telling me their life story, and they're telling me that on the outside, people think they're heterosexual. That's the label that, but they've had sexual experiences with people of the same sex on and off their whole life, and no one knows. So
Yeah.
they didn't join a LGBT group, but they have had these experiences and they've never expressed it before. And so there's actually like a massive amount of people in the heterosexual community, right?
Yeah.
That actually want to experience both sides of things, but they think it's wrong. So in a way, it's like, my dream is to just have this space where like, you can do anything, even sexually, because sex is such an awkward conversation for people, right? But like, to actually go there, like, it's like we're having an experience. Like, if we could just see life as an experience, that like, you can go have sex with a guy, a girl, non-binary, it doesn't matter. Like it
Yeah,
shouldn't matter, right? It shouldn't
absolutely.
matter. And people want to experience both. Like I'm getting that sense more and more that people actually want to explore, but then they feel like they have to pick the label. And then once they have the label, they're defined by the label. And that's what's scary. So
Yeah.
I'm just like love, I don't know, I'm just like love the idea of like bringing people together from all walks of life, and like it's a safe
Yes.
space to explore that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you get to express yourself.
Yeah.
Like the opposite of that, yes, it seems like scary to do that, but the opposite of that is living a lie.
Yeah.
Your whole,
Yes.
and
Ooh.
isn't it? Right. It's crazy that like to think that like we're like, oh no, that's not a lie. It's like no, if you're not expressing who you truly are, then you're lying to yourself,
Yeah.
and you are so worth telling yourself the truth. You're so worth saying it out loud. And we talk about it a lot because it's like yes, it's the community. It's asking for help, and you've mentioned this multiple times. It's saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Like why is it even important to say it out loud? What's the point of actually, because can't you just like kind of like whisper it to yourself or like write it down maybe? Like why do you have to say it out loud, you know? And does it have to be on Facebook and Instagram? Does it have
Mm.
to be public?
No, I don't. I think it's whatever's true for that person. Like I'm publicly talking about this stuff because I just know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not coming from a ego. It's just like I have to share this message because people need to hear it so that we can help more people. And I want to help save lives. Like it's saving lives, period. And so I think everyone needs to do what's true for them. So like if they feel called to go live and express that, then do that. But if they feel like they just need to talk to a friend and like have a heart to heart, then do that. Like I
Yeah.
think the ultimate thing in any for anyone is like do what's really true for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such an important part because yeah, like you don't have to you don't have to follow anybody for one. You don't have to be like I almost called you Kayla. I'm not gonna get this. Or Aleesha, like you don't have to be like one of us who shared our story publicly. Yes, we felt called to do that. Absolutely. But you might share it to your friend and they might be like, oh my goodness, me too. Like you
Yeah.
never know who needs to hear your story. And then
Yes.
like going past that is like me and you have talked about this a lot of okay, once you do have healing yourself, because there's a time for you to just to focus on you. And then I want to point on that, like how important it is, like for you to take your time to focus on yourself. Then you can't help but be a leader. Like you went to a coach, now you are a coach because you're like, oh my goodness, I need to share this more. And that's exactly what I did too. But like, can you touch on the point of like the progression? Like, hey, okay, it's okay to focus on yourself. It's not selfish.
Yeah.
It's so important. And then
Yeah.
yes, you do get to become a leader and show up in either a coach or whatever it is that you want to do. But like, can you touch on that like progression a little bit?
I mean, the best investment you could ever make is in yourself,
Yes.
right? I mean, there's no other investment but in yourself, 100%, because ultimately when we invest in ourselves, whatever that looks like for someone, right? What we're doing is like we're looking at who are we really? Like who are we really? And when we discover who we are really, we start to appreciate more, and we want to take care of it, right? Like we want to love it, we want to take care of it. And it's because we want to, at the end of the day, human beings just want to feel good. Like they're seeking feeling, like they want to feel a certain way. Like they don't want to feel pain and struggle, they want to feel good, right? So that's why people reach for alcohol or drug, whatever it is, to feel something, right? So the best thing we could ever do is actually make an investment into ourselves and like go there and look there and like, who am I really? Like who am I at my core? Like we put aside all of those labels and identities. You put all of that aside. Like, who am I sitting here right now?
Yeah.
And how can I love on that and appreciate that? Because the more that we love on it and appreciate it, it's like there's a feeling, like the feeling that we want starts to like elevate. And like that's the exciting part I found when I had my coming home moment of going in the elevator of, oh my gosh, I just elevated consciousness, and there's infinite levels of consciousness. So that means there's infinite levels of joy and happiness and abundance and like what? So that's my fascination, is like, how can we deepen that? And like there's an endless supply of that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, maybe that's for you, Cayla, but not everyone can heal. Just devil's advocate here.
Oh,
Like,
devil's advocate.
you're like, what? At least you're like, you teach the opposite. No, so like, I know that some of our audience is here sitting there because you literally just said what I said. Well, that's not possible for me.
Mm.
And why is healing and freedom possible for everybody who chooses it?
Yeah, well, it's because it's our natural state for all human beings. Like research has shown this. Our natural state is peace. Our natural state is love. Like there's enough research out there that's like shows this because 99.999% of who we are, if you look at our cell, right? If we break down who we are in cellular level, we're energy. Like everything is energy. We are energy. Everything that we're looking at, feeling is pure energy, right? And so if we're all energy, right? It's like when I look at what makes all humans equal, we are all energy, period. In like the costume, right? We all got a different hairdo and color skin and like, and like, but at our core, every human being's natural state is peace. And so that's the exciting part is like we're all, as human beings, we're all trying to find home. We're all like trying to find it. That's like the journey we're on. And then like you find home, but it's not like your physical home. There's a home here. Like there's a home feeling in your body. And you have the keys. That's the crazy part. Is that we have the keys. Like we have the keys to come home. But that's the like the process that we as coaches are taking people through is like find the keys and like unlock yourself and unlock your life. And I haven't worked with a single client where they don't find that. Like every human being, that's our natural state.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Like the home part in your own body, because that's like, how amazing would it be to feel that, guys? Like feel at home in your own body. Cause then you can go anywhere in the world and still feel at home. Right. And that's like, well, exactly what you're doing. You're like, you're doing more traveling and everything. Cause it's like anywhere you go, you're at home and you're at peace and you know that you're going to be okay no matter where you are. Right.
Yes, that is when there's true freedom and liberation because you can be calm in the chaos.
Yes.
Like I'm thinking about going to Tulum in Mexico and there's a hurricane, like there's weather kind of issues. And I have friends there and that's what they're talking about is like, despite what's going on, like, can we be calm in the chaos? Like no matter what's going on physically around us. So that's exactly it, is that that's the key. You come home to yourself and once you know how, and you know it's always there, then you have the tools. That's really what it is. Like I'm not coaching people so that I'm their coach forever. Yeah. It's like it's basically helping them unlock that, right? Like, and they have the answers. Then they realize, oh my gosh, at every moment I have my own answers.
Yeah. Right. It's just having someone like take a stand for you is really what a coach does. Is you're taking a stand for other people to find their home in themselves. You know, you're taking a stand for them. And that's the importance of having people in your life like Cuyla and any coach you have, like, because yes, like friends and family are amazing and they love you a lot. But sometimes those aren't the people that are going to take the biggest stand for you because they want to be there where you're at currently sometimes. And coaches and people, like, they see you in your future. They see the potential that you have, and they hold you accountable to that.
That is so key. That is so key what you just said. I don't mean to cut you off. Like, that's it. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that because like accountability is also like the difference between where we're at and maybe where someone's at that hasn't necessarily started this journey, is because me and you have a lot of accountability in our lives. And how has that supported you in actually,
accountability is huge. But what you just said, see, I'm just going to come to this point for a moment, because you said that coaches are able in a way like to see their future and help them realize their future. And so shout out to Sanyika Firestarter. He's an epic human, but he actually made me see this, that when people are at a point in their life when they're considering suicide, like myself, I had those thoughts. It's like when they're at that point, right? What's happening is that the future they see is pain. They don't see a future that is filled with dreams and possibilities. Like they just keep seeing a future that feels like pain, right? So when you work with a coach and they see your future or they help you realize your future, that is so key for them to get out of that like mess in their mind, to be like, oh, they see life with all new eyes. Like literally, like there's a windshield wiper on the car that just went, and they've like, whoa, I just went from like this janky car, and now I got like a Tesla. Let's go. And like one time I was on a sales call. It was so funny. I was on a sales call, and literally I asked this potential client to tell me what their a year from now, what their perfect day would look like. And they couldn't really put words to it. And so all of a sudden I just started like channeling to them what I saw. And I was like, look, this is what I'm seeing for your perfect day. Okay. I didn't even really know this person. I only talked to them for 40 minutes. I go paint the picture from when they wake up to when they go to bed, like what they're eating, where they're working out, whatever. And after I was done, she looked at me and like her jaw basically dropped. And she was like, I literally wrote almost those exact words on a paper like last week for an assignment that I had to do. And she sent it to me the next day. And it was like I literally saw her future. So I like saw what was possible for her, right? I saw her potential, and like just that alone was like, what?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Exactly. But like you stood for her. Like you could have like kept it in and been like, no, I'm not going to share that part of it. But you stood for her and you showed her what her future could be. And that's because like
That's okay.
we did this on this interview. I love this. You didn't give me time to like practice your name a million times the right way, but it's okay. So basically what I was saying is though, what was I saying now? Your name's me up this whole time.
We're talking about like seeing their future and the possibilities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's going to come back to
okay.
But just to move forward though, it's just like, yeah, you saw her possibility, you said it out loud and you supported her. Right. Yes. And that's like the process that we're talking about here. It's just like, you get to say it out loud. Yes. You get to have support and you get to keep going. And that's for everybody. And it doesn't have to be you or I who coaches them. But like, if you have someone who's on your heart, reach out to them because there's a reason why you're attracted to them. Yes. There's a reason why you get on that phone call and you can speak into her because she's attracted to who you are. And when you show up in your power, you get to support her in her power, right? And so we all have people like that though. Like we're not the only ones who are like, oh, I can support people, but you can't. And we talked about this earlier, like focus on yourself first because you are the best investment, like you said. And then you get to become even more of a leader in whatever aspect you want. But like, how do you take that next step of like, okay, yeah, I do want to go to the next step. Like for one, how do they work with you? And how do they actually take that next step?
Yes. Well, for anyone that is listening that resonates and they're like, let's go. Yeah. I'm offering anyone here a 45-minute activate your aliveness call. It's all about that breakthrough. Like it's just going to be an epic conversation together. And the way I work is if somebody resonates and we feel aligned, then we'll move together and like move forward on working together. But there's no forced energy. There's no pressure to enroll in anything I do unless it feels aligned on both sides. So I want to preface that. But if anybody is looking for a coach right now, one-on-one, and this resonates, you're like, yes, Cuyla, let's go. Then you can hop on a call with me for 45 minutes and we can work through that. And this is we're on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So they can all, I can't even see what's going on. I'm just live with you right now, but they can message me on Facebook. So just whoever's watching right now.
Let's comment the links. I'll comment your links below so that they have that. And then do you have a link to that call?
Yeah, I can drop it. Yeah. And if they just want to drop some people just want to drop a messenger because they want that private combo. Like feel free to drop a messenger. Like we can just have a hard time here.
And I know some of your clients. So let me just brag about you for a second. Like I know some of your clients. And because like when I heard your story, Amina, right?
Yeah.
I was like, did I get her name right now? I'm like, great, I can't get names. But so her client is someone that I was like, I have to reach out and talk to her because she wrote a book about her story of growing up in Africa and going through abuse and all these amazing things, right? And she's just like, when I talked to her, I was like, oh my goodness, she's like the coolest human being, right? And she was like, no, actually, like, you would never guess that I was really, really shy the first time I talked to Cuyla. And I was like, oh, really? She was like, I'm even nervous to be on this phone call. I was like, oh, you're doing great. But like, tell us like your experience with her though, because I want to encourage people that like, no matter where, like you said before, no matter where you're from in the world, no matter what you like believe in, no matter what, like you get support and you get freedom from your past. And so like, can you just tell us a little bit about her story?
Mina is
Working
a
with her.
human. Yeah. I actually met her at an adaptive surfing competition years ago. And my ex-wife was a professional surfer. So like that's where I met her. Totally out of the blue. I didn't even know, like, we were still connected on Facebook. She was just following me, like going live, and like I guess resonated with my message and reached out. And yeah, I mean, with Amina's story, I mean, so she doesn't identify in the LGBT community, right? But she was carrying shame around things that had happened with her family, right? And just even having a disability, and like even the label of disability. And she has this like massive potential to be on TEDx stages, publishing books, and like being a motivational speaker, and just didn't really have the direction, and like didn't know where to even go, where to even start. So that's why she reached out. She's an amazing human.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing human. She's actually going to be on this We're the Women Wednesday. We're in conversation, so she gets to hear more of her story. But I just wanted you, like, people to know who are listening, like what like actually does and what coaches actually do. Because I think sometimes like we get in our heads that we can do it on our own, and I know that we can like get stubborn, that we're like, I've made it this far on my own. It's like, but why, right? Why do life on your own? And so really like that's the importance of having a coach. But to go back to really like showing up for yourself powerfully, what are some steps that you take every day, every other day, whatever it is? What is your routine to actually show up for yourself? Because I want to make sure our audience knows like it takes time, and it takes you showing up for yourself, and it looks different for everybody, but what's some tools you have for them?
Well, this is what I love asking people is I love asking people to just reflect on what it is that makes them come alive, and doing more of that. So like literally structuring your days around what it is that makes you come alive.
Yeah.
So like my morning, like I am enjoying listening to meditation, but I listen to a hip hop meditation, and I rollerblade and like think about world peace now. That's like a new ritual that I have. Like one of the coaching programs I'm in, like challenge us to come up with a ritual where you imagine world peace. So I'm listening to John Lennon about imagine world peace while I'm rolling my rollerblades. And so to answer your question, I think like I more so now structure my days around like what makes me come alive, right? So my mornings, like what it is that makes me come alive with my mornings, even at night. Like I love to just read a really good book right before bed, because I actually fall asleep like reading the book. And so I used to have trouble sleeping. And so, yeah, just structuring your day around like, what is it that makes you come alive in every area? And like, then you carve out space, more space to be with your friends or your family, whatever it is, right? Like every area of your life, you can carve it out that way.
Yeah. And how crazy, I feel like a lot of people are like, what do you mean you center your day around yourself? Because I feel like a lot of you listening might be like, no, like I have kids, I have da da da, I have to go to work, da da da. Like no matter what you have going on, you are your top priority. Like you just said, you get to center your life around what makes you come alive. And that's so important. That's for everybody. And I think we like get in our head like, oh, I'm too busy for that. Right? Can you like speak on that? That it's like no one is too busy to come alive.
That was me, like most of my life, not carving out space for like self-care or anything like that. But I realize now, like we were sharing earlier, we're energy, we're a vibration. So our even like if you break it down like cellular level, like we are a vibration of energy, right? And so we raise our vibe when we do things that make us come alive, right? So we raise our vibe when we're working out. We raise our vibe when we're listening to music. We raise our vibe when we're meditating. We raise our vibe when we're deeply connected with another human. We raise our vibe when we're really enjoying what we eat, right? So And what happens is that when we are raising our vibe, everything else in our life happens a lot easier. Like everything's easy and effortless because your vibration is what you're actually attracting into your life, whether it's it doesn't matter, relationships, career, everything. An energetic vibration, right? So I found that when I take breaks throughout the day to just like go on a walk and like literally like lay on the grass and like take that time, I'm more productive. Like when I go back, I'm more productive. And energetically, just things happen. Like I'll just get a message from a new client. I'll get a, and I wasn't even doing the work. I was actually like relaxing out there, right? Yeah.
So huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like what she's talking about is like, yeah, actually do what you love and do it in nature. Most of the time, like, you know, everyone has something else that makes them come alive, but nature is huge to support you with that. And sometimes we're like, yeah, we don't have time. What if you took a 5-minute walk every morning to start your day? Right? It gets to be simple. Like you said, like it gets to be easy.
And make it fun. Like I think like that's the thing we forget. It's like, oh, like I can do things that I enjoy. And like the true freedom comes when then you don't care what people think about it. Because like I will go jump on the trampoline back here, right? Like kids, it's like a kid's trampoline, but like I'll take and like jump on the trampoline and do like whatever, like flips on it. And it's like, but this is like brings me joy. And like I'm not gonna not do it because my sister might think I'm weird, you know, or like last night, I went with my niece to play basketball. On the way back, I was playing music and my niece all of a sudden started dancing in the street. So I just went and we were just dancing in the street together. And like I could have not done that if people walked by and judged me. But I'm feeling alive and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
Right? It's your choice. You're like, okay, I could care what people think, or I could do what truly makes me happy. And so that's why I wanted to have you on here because you do that so well. Like sometimes when I see you like doing the dances or whatever else, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe she's like doing that. But it's like, no, like in a sense of like, I'm like, that's amazing that she's like doesn't care about whatever's around her. Like you just do this amazing job of just showing up, like I said in the very beginning of this. And so if you guys take anything from this, like know that coming alive is for everybody, no matter what you're going through. And so Cuyla, like if do you want to end on anything, like any advice for anybody, any tips or any tools? But yeah, I wanted to end on that.
I'll just end with the Howard Thurman quote, which is about coming alive, right? It's what I feel like was my realization of, and what basically what he says is what the world needs is people who have come alive, right? It's like what the world needs is people who have come alive. And so go do that. Like go do what it is that makes you come alive. Like go do that. That's what we need. So if every human was like coming alive, that's what would change the world because it's all a vibration. It's like if everyone's coming alive, is like the whole world, the vibe is like raising together. And when our vibe's raising, we have less of that doubtful thought. We have less of the fearful thought. Like all of that actually falls away when our vibration rises.
Exactly. Less anger, less pain, less all of those things when you choose to come alive.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I mean, like me and Kyle like to talk all day long about these things. And so thank you so much for being on here and sharing with my audience. I'll make sure that they have all of your information down below. And you have a great rest of your night.
I love you. Thank you for having
me. Bye. That was so awesome. Bye.